When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. I am your voice. I alone can fix it.
Is Donald Trump really a fascist, as some would say? Or is the word authoritarian sufficient?
Is Donald Trump a fascist? No. But when I saw a video made by Robert Reich, the Dane Cook of economics, discussing this exact topic, you know I had to shred this fool.
I want to talk to you about the F word. No, not that F word. I'm talking about fascism. Is Donald Trump really a fascist, as some would say? Or is the word authoritarian sufficient?
Right off the bat, he's playing frame games. Is Donald Trump a fascist, or is he just an authoritarian? Come on, man.
The term fascism is often used loosely, but you can generally identify fascists by their hate of the other, vengeful nationalism, and repression of dissent. To fight these ideas, we need to be aware of what they are and how they fit together. Let's examine the 5 elements that define fascism and what makes it distinct from and more dangerous than authoritarianism.
Reich starts off by saying that fascism is defined by hate of the other, vengeful nationalism, and repression of dissent. While those 3 descriptors could be applied to fascist regimes, they are a far cry from being the 3 defining characteristics of fascism. A more succinct and accurate way to describe fascism is everything inside the state, nothing outside the state, and nothing against the state. Fascism actually comes from the Latin word for bundle. It refers to bundling together the state and all other actors within the state. It's a rejection of the liberal idea that the state's role is to protect its citizens and uphold pre-existing laws. By contrast, the citizens are looked at as vital parts of the state, essentially cogs in the machine. But where does fascism come from? Fascism is actually a philosophical offshoot of Marxism. The founders of fascism were all socialists, and they designed fascism to be a tweak or an update to Marxism because the class warfare model was not producing the revolution that Marx promised. And when you combine that with growing resentment towards powerful nations, exemplified by the Treaty of Versailles and what was called the Mutilated Victory, where Italy received next to nothing after sacrificing hundreds of thousands of young men in World War I, the Italian socialists had their answer. Thus, they converted the intranational class-based view of proletariat class versus bourgeoisie class and made it international. Now you have proletarian nations, like Italy, and bourgeoisie nations, such as the United States. Thus, if a revolution does not occur within a country, but on a global stage, nationalism, not class solidarity, becomes the vehicle for revolution. This is the first error that people like Reich make. They think that because fascism is ultranationalist, it's somehow right-wing, when in reality, nationalism just becomes the new vehicle to attain Marx's revolution. Economically, how does fascism work? Fascism uses what's called corporatism as its economic model. This is a centrally planned, command-style economy where private businesses are allowed to exist in name only as long as they do the bidding of the powerful central government. So when you compare that with something like communism, where industries are nationalized outright, it's effectively the same thing, but it's one step removed from communism. The businesses still exist, but they have to do the bidding of the state, or else. So that's effectively what fascism is, folks. It's a Marxist theory that uses ultranationalism to obtain Marx's revolution, and it utilizes a corporatist economy that looks at companies and people that operate within the state as cogs in the machine that makes up the state. Pay attention though. There's a pattern forming that you'll see in the rest of this video, which is gross oversimplification of what fascism is. Or you'll see the classic circular argument that claims Trump's a fascist. Why? Because he said this thing that's fascist. And why is it fascist? Because Trump said it.
It's a circle.
Utterly ridiculous. Let's move on.
First, the rejection of democracy in favor of a strongman. Authoritarians believe strong leaders are needed to maintain stability, so they empower strongmen, dictators, or absolute monarchs to maintain social order through the use of force. But fascists view strong leaders as the means of discovering what society needs. They regard the leader as the embodiment of society, the voice of the people.
I am your voice. I alone can fix it.
So fascism requires a strongman who replaces democracy. Yes, I agree with that claim. But is that Trump? No. First off, they cherry picked a quote where he kind of vaguely said something that fit what Reich said, but really what he's doing is a sales tactic. Trump's a sales guy. And even if he was this archetypal strongman, how is he getting rid of democracy? He's gone through the election 3 times and he abdicated his position in 2020. What are you talking about? How is he getting rid of democracy? That makes no sense. But again, this is what Reich wants to do. He wants you to feel like Trump is this strongman who wants to get rid of democracy. It's not about whether Trump's actually doing that. It's just vibes, bro.
Second, stoking rage against cultural elites. Authoritarian movements cannot succeed without at least some buy-in from establishment elites. While fascist movements often seek to co-opt the establishment, they largely depend on fueling resentment and anger against presumed cultural elites for supposedly displacing regular people. Fascists rile up their followers to seek revenge on the elites.
The out-of-touch media elites, the political elites, but the elites from the elites who led us from one financial and foreign policy disaster to another.
We realized our cultural elites were rigging the game against us. They were controlling what we think with fake news. They were manipulating social media behind our backs to hide the truth from us. They were essentially conspiring against us at every turn. Now, that's a legitimate American sentiment at the time, and Trump jumped on that. But does that mean he's a fascist? No, it means he's capitalizing on what's in front of him.
They create mass political parties and demand participation. They encourage violence.
You know what they used to do to guys like that when they were in a place like this? They'd be carried out on a stretcher, folks. Like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you. Knock the crap out of him, would you? And we fight. We fight like hell.
Again, they're cherry picking times where Trump's rhetoric is bombastic and making it look like he's inciting violence. He's not inciting violence with these quotes. That's ridiculous. Now, can Trump's rhetoric get a little much? Absolutely. I don't disagree with that. But that's his rhetoric. So we're not talking about rhetoric. We're talking about policy.
Third, nationalism based on superior race and historic bloodlines. Authoritarians see nationalism as a means of asserting the power of the state. For fascists, the state embodies what is considered a superior group based on race, religion, and historic bloodlines. To fascists, the state is a means of asserting that superiority.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you.
Fascists worry about disloyalty and replacement by groups that don't share the same race or bloodlines.
And I think any Jewish people that vote for a Democrat, I think it shows either a total lack of knowledge or great disloyalty.
Fascists encourage their followers to scapegoat, expel, and sometimes even kill such others.
Okay, this time it wasn't just a cherry-picked quote. That quote by Trump had nothing to do with what Reich was saying right there. Yeah, in a lot of ways, that is characteristic of fascist regimes, especially Nazi Germany. But what has Trump done that remotely resembles that? Being strict on immigration, bombastic rhetoric, but who cares? Rhetoric, policy. I don't give a crap about here. I care about here. You can point out all the bombastic rhetoric you want, but where is the policy that exemplifies Trump being a fascist about this? Where? It doesn't exist. And a lot of times people will point to Trump's rhetoric around immigration, but again, that's just rhetoric. A strong border and deportations was a mainstream Democrat policy. In fact, you go back to Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, they wanted a strong border. Barack Obama deported more people than Trump has during the second term. But do you hear the left calling Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton a fascist? No. Clearly, strong border policy and immigration policy is not a demarcation line for what's fascist and what isn't. Swing and a miss, Bobby.
Fourth, extolling brute strength and heroic warriors. The goal of authoritarianism is to gain and maintain state power at any cost. For authoritarians, strength comes in the form of large standing armies that can enforce their rule. They seek power to wield power. Fascists seek state power to achieve their ostensible goal, achieving their vision of society. Fascism accomplishes this by rewarding those who win economically and physically, and denigrating or even exterminating those who lose. Fascism depends on organized bullying, a form of social Darwinism.
Our people are tougher and stronger and meaner and smarter.
For the fascist, war and violence are means of strengthening society by culling the weak.
Bro, he did not just play that clip that's been debunked over and over and over.
And glorifying heroic warriors.
I am your warrior. I am your justice. I am your retribution. I am your retribution.
Fascists seek state power to achieve their ostensible goal. You mean every leader in the history of the world ever? What are you talking about, man? You can't just say generic things that every world leader has done since the beginning of time and put scary fascist imagery behind it and say it's fascist. Fascism achieves this by exalting strength and denigrating weakness. Yeah, okay. Especially in Nazi Germany, I guess that's what he's getting at right now. But how is that Donald Trump? So Trump saying our people are tougher and smarter, that's how you tie that into Trump? Trump's not glorifying heroic warriors. He's using sales rhetoric to win people over, you idiot. And I can't believe he used that clip where he supposedly mocked a disabled reporter. It has been debunked for 10 years. Next, you're going to tell me that he said that the neo-Nazis in Charlottesville were very fine people. How far are we going to go with this, Bobby?
Fifth and finally, disdain of women and LGBTQ plus people.
Ha! Gay!
Authoritarianism imposes hierarchies. It's about order. Fascism's idea of order is organized around a particular hierarchy of male dominance. The fascist heroic warrior is male. Women are relegated to subservient roles. In fascism, anything that challenges the traditional heroic male roles of protector, provider, and controller of the family is considered a threat to the social order. Fascism seeks to eliminate homosexuals, non-binary, transgender, and queer people because they are thought to challenge or weaken the heroic male warrior.
I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth.
It goes without saying that Mussolini clearly was more of a get back in the kitchen type of guy. I mean, based. But when you talk about the alphabet people, that's been every society in modern and ancient history. There have been markedly liberal societies throughout our world's history that were anti-gay. That doesn't mean they're fascist. That's just a hallmark of society before 1970. And he puts that quote by Trump saying the only genders are male and female. That's just basic biology. There's men and there's women. And there's people that are intersex, which is a birth defect. Everything else is just mental gymnastics and lunacy. But let's look at this a little bit deeper. Is Trump a misogynist? Is he anti-gay? Because I don't know if you know this, but when Trump ran in 2016, he was the first elected US president that was pro-gay marriage. Even Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, they were against gay marriage. They were for civil unions when they ran. And what about women? Look how many women he's hired into his cabinet during the second term. I mean, you have Pam Bondi, Kristi Noem, Tulsi Gabbard. In fact, Trump has had one of the highest overall counts of women in his cabinet in U.S. history, third only behind Joe Biden in 2020 and tied with Bill Clinton, who, let's be honest, didn't hire them for meritocratic reasons. Hound dog he was looking to hunt. So how exactly, again, is Trump a misogynist? That comes down to rhetoric over policy. It comes down to saying, grab him by the you-know-what. That goofy thing he said on Howard Stern about going backstage at his pageants. Mean things about Rosie O'Donnell. It's all just rhetoric and being bombastic. This is not fascism. This is a guy who's kind of an a-hole, but when it comes down to it, he treats people well, especially women.
These 5 elements of fascism fit together and reinforce each other. Rejection of democracy in favor of a strongman depends on galvanizing popular rage. Popular rage draws on a nationalism based on a supposed superior race or ethnicity. That superior race or ethnicity is justified by a social Darwinist idea of strength and violence, as exemplified by heroic warriors. Strength, violence, and the heroic warrior are centered on male power. These 5 elements find exact expression in Donald Trump. His uniquely American version of fascism is rooted largely in white Christian nationalism. It is the direction that most of the Republican Party is now heading in. It's not enough to call Trump and those promoting his ideas authoritarians, when what they are really advocating is something far worse: fascism.
So ultimately, what do I think of Robert Reich's analysis? After watching this video, I don't know how somebody with greater than a room temp IQ could come away from this thinking that Trump is a fascist. Reich did a horrendous job of making his case. And in fact, he made a much better case for demonstrating that he has no idea what fascism even is. In his analysis, he's ignoring the primary pillars of fascism, which are illiberalism, Marxism, and corporatism, and instead focuses on ways that Trump's rhetoric sounds vaguely authoritarian or strongmanish. It never expands upon that and demonstrates how Trump is actually a fascist. Instead, his method seems to be manipulating the audience. He gives us away right at the beginning if you caught it.
Is Donald Trump really a fascist, as some would say? Or is the word authoritarian sufficient?
He's already playing frame games right at the start. This Keebler Elf sounding MFer is trying to lead his audience into drawing the conclusions he wants them to conclude, not derive those conclusions based on the evidence he presents. And he does this by splicing together clips of Trump's bombastic rhetoric with scary Nazi and fascist imagery. All in all, it's one of the most feeble attempts at political analysis I think I've ever seen. But what do you guys think? Is Trump actually a fascist? Did Reich do a good job? Let me know down in the comments. Anyways, that's it for me, guys. If you like videos like this, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you're notified as soon as a new video drops. We're a growing channel, so I very much appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Are you looking for more content like this? Hit that subscribe button and check out the link on screen. Come on, you know you want to do it.